Hello, everybody. I have a cat. Say hi. She's like, huh? Huh? I love you. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is my second time filming this video because I filmed the first one and there was a lot of chaotic energy and it was wonderful and it was fun. And I realized about halfway through filming it that my mic wasn't on. But I was like, it's fine. It'll still just be, like, there'll still be audio. It just won't be like clear audio. Like there'll be background noise and stuff like that. Nope. No audio. None. So I lost 30 minutes of footage. It's fine. It's fine. We're here. I fear I may have gotten the majority of the chaotic energy out in the first filming. So I'm sorry if this is more mellow than what I originally thought it was going to be. I feel like it's still going to be chaotic because it's me. But we're going to talk about the 7 books that I read in February. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kelsey. I make videos primarily on bookish content now. It used to be makeup. All of the makeup videos are still on my channel. But we are switching genres, switching niches, and we are talking about books because I love books. I love books. I love reading. I love escaping into fantasy worlds and reading about all the FMCs, MMCs. Like I love reading. So we're going to talk about books. Like I just said, I read 7 books in the month of February. It was very similar to January, in which I did a lot of reading at the very beginning of the month. And then the back half of the month, I just kind of fell off the wagon because things got crazy busy at work and crazy just busy schedule wise. And there was a lot. So I didn't get to read as much during the back half of the month. But when I tell you guys, February was a really good reading month. I read 7 books and 5 out of the 7 were 5-star reads. So, now full disclaimer, I'm a pretty generous rater when it comes to reading books. Basically, if I hate it, I will DNF it. And in which case it is a DNF/1 star. Anything else is at least a 2-star, and like I tend to be a really generous grader, so that's kind of my disclaimer. But yeah, just so many good reads this month. So we're gonna start out with the first book that I read, and this was my quote-unquote flop for the month. Now, I do not think of this book as a flop because I want to keep reading the series. This was the first book in a series, and so when the next one comes out, I do want to read it. The book was good enough that I am invested, and I want to read it. But so the first book that I read was The Chaos Weaver by Aubrey Winters, and I rated that 2.5 stars. So if you look at my Goodreads, it says 3 stars, and it honestly, like, it just kind of depends on when you ask me whether it's a 2.5 or a 3 star. I really am like teetering on that line. Like I said, it was good enough that like I became invested in, like, I want to know what happened to the brother. I want to know how our FMC develops her abilities and stuff like that. I want to know what happened. Overall, this book felt very introductory, very exposition throughout the entire book. Like, I felt like, so if you remember from elementary school, you have basically the plot line graph that is a book, which is exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. And so normally a book in and of itself is supposed to have that entire graph. This entire book felt very exposition. I felt like there was very little character development. All we were doing is meeting people. There were a couple battles. So this was a fantasy book. This girl and her twin brother are homeless and trying to survive, and they, specifically her brother, gets in kind of with some shady people, and these shady people want to do a shady thing, and they want to steal a dragon from, I don't know if it's I can't remember if it's a prince, a lord, what, I don't know. They want to steal it from someone high and mighty. And she does it for like the moral reasons of, I want to free this dragon. She has no interest in keeping the dragon. The other people, the shady people, they want to keep the dragon because the dragon can make the money. They attempt to steal the dragon. Things do not go according to plan, and somehow she ends up in a different realm, basically, and her brother is now missing. So she's trying to figure out how to get home, where she is, desperately trying to find her brother, but all of these creatures keep attacking her, and she finds out that she is what's called a Chaos Weaver. And that's all I can really say. Anything else would give away too much of the book. But yeah, I'm invested as to what happened to the brother. I want to know. Like I said, I want to know how she develops her chaos weaving abilities. But she kept saying, like, the FMC just kept repeating the same things over and over again, and like I said, it just felt very exposition the entire time. Like, the ending, it did not feel very ending. Like, it felt like it just cut off at a very, very odd spot. It felt unfinished. Again, knowing this is a series, obviously the story in and of itself is not finished. Like, the book itself did not feel finished. So, it was definitely not my favorite read of all time, but I am invested, which is why it teeters the line between 2.5 and 3 stars. I don't consider that book a flop, but compared to everything else that I read this month, that was the flop of the month. Because after that, we went into off-campus Briar U world with Elle Kennedy. So, for a little bit of backstory, years ago, I think this was 2019 or 2020, was when I first read the ACOTAR series. Maybe it was 21. I don't know. That was when I read the ACOTAR series, and that was what reignited my love of reading. I used to love reading when I was a kid, kind of fell out of it because of school, found it again senior year when I joined book club at school, fell off it again when I went to college because I just felt like I didn't have any time for free reading. I was just constantly reading textbooks, and then came back home in 2021. So maybe timeline wise this would be 2021, but also 2020 happened, so I feel like I read a lot during that time period as well. So right after I read ACOTAR, I read the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. So the Off-Campus series, for a super quick recap, the first one is called The Deal. That follows Garrett and Hannah. The second one, I forget what it was called, but that followed Logan and Grace. The third one, what's the third one called? Genuinely, like, I remember the score. Is that the third one? I think that might be the score. And that follows Dean and Allie. And then the last one, which is the goal, follows Tuck and Sabrina. I remembered her name this time. I could not, for the life of me, remember what her name was when I was filming the first one. Sabrina. Tuck and Sabrina. A hockey romance. Hockey college romance. I ate those books up. I ate them up so fast. They're cute and they're cheesy. They have a lot of my favorite tropes. Like, the first one was fake dating. Garrett and Hannah, that was fake dating. The fourth one, which is the goal, that was Tuck and Sabrina, that was actually accidental pregnancy, which I don't overly love, but I don't dislike either. But I thought that one was done really, really well, and I liked it a lot. The score was, again, if I'm getting that one correct, Dean and Allie's, that was enemies to lovers, kinda. Like, it was just super duper cute, fluffy, but also each character was well developed. They each had their own things that they were dealing with beyond just the relationship. They were dealing with their own internal things, and the same follows that in Briar U. So I'll talk a little bit more about that, but overall, I just ate those up. But for whatever reason, I did not jump right into Briar U, and I genuinely cannot explain to you why. I just didn't. I got distracted by other things. So flash forward to today being the beginning of February, I don't know what possessed me to finally jump back into Briar U, but I just said, fluffy romance. Elle Kennedy. And I remembered that all of the off-campus and the Briar U books were on Kindle Unlimited. So I just downloaded them all. And I said, it's time. So that's what we did. So the second book that I read in February actually is what I call Off-Campus 4.5. I think Elle Kennedy calls it that too. I'm not 100% sure. But that was The Legacy. Now, The Legacy follows the couples from the Off-Campus series, and it's divided up into 4 parts. One part, there is an engagement, there's a secret wedding, there is a honeymoon, and there is a pregnancy. So each part follows a different couple. If you've read the Off-Campus series, you can probably guess what couple is what event. But it's a really good time, and having been so long since I had read the Off-Campus series, it was really, really good to be able to jump back into that universe and see those characters again, these characters that I loved and I just ate up the entire time. It was so, so good being in that same universe again. So that was my second read of the month, The Legacy, Elle Kennedy, 5 stars. I just ate it up. I ate it up. There was definitely some miscommunication stuff in there, which miscommunication tropes 9 times out of 10 I really despise. And I definitely didn't love them in this. I thought they were done okay. Overall, I think it was done well, but miscommunication just irks my soul. So, just, if you're like me and you hate miscommunication, just know that it's in The Legacy, and there's at least a little bit of it in like every single one of the Briar U books. So then after that, I jumped into Briar U 1, which is The Chase. That follows Summer De Laurentiis, Dean's younger sister, and Colin Fitzgerald. Now, Dean shows up in this book a lot because, like I said, Summer is Dean's younger sister. So, and we do meet Colin, at least in the last book, if not the second to last book of Off Campus. So I already knew who Colin was. So there is a little bit of a love triangle in this one. This is friends to lovers, but also like not. This is brother's best friend. You know, like there's so many good tropes in this, and there is some miscommunication, but what I really liked about this specifically was Summer really coming into her own and proving to everybody that she's not her appearance, you know? So she because of her wealthy family and specifically what she majors in at college, a lot of people think this way about her, and she proves very quickly that she is not. So awesome. And the other thing that I failed to mention with Off Campus, but this is another continuing theme between Off Campus and Briar U, the hockey romance found family. Like, every single person on the hockey team is constantly there for every single other person on the hockey team. Like, and the girlfriends end up becoming the same way. Like, I am a absolute sucker for anything found family. Absolutely anything found family. And so you see a lot of that in Briar U. You see a lot of that in Off Campus, and I just eat it up every single time. So there was, because of the love triangle in this, there was a little bit of, like, some of the found family got lost a little bit because there was a rift between 2 of the hockey players, but it does eventually get resolved later on, and so that made me feel good. But just overall, there is just a found family dynamic between all of the hockey players, and I love that. I live for it. The Chase, Elle Kennedy, 5 stars. After that, so that would have been my 3rd book of the month. So my 4th one of the month, I took a break from reading Kindle. And I was still reading this while I was reading the other books on my Kindle. Because this is the only physical copybook that I read this month. I read Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. like I said, with it being a physical copy book, was able to read, like, I would read a little bit on my Kindle, and then I'd pick up Carrie Soto Was Back, and then I'd read a little bit on my Kindle, and then Carrie Soto Was Back. So I was kind of reading it at the same time, but I finished it in between The Chase and the book that I'll talk about in a minute. Yeah, Carrie Soto Was Back, Taylor Jenkins Reid. I rated that 4.5 stars. The only reason it's not 5 stars is because, like, it didn't... These characters are not, like, life-changing for me. They're not gonna live in my head rent-free. Like, they're just not completely up there. And the book took a little bit for me to get into, but once I was in it, I was locked in. Like, I really just, like, I did not want to go to work. I wanted to keep reading it. I wanted to know what happened. Like, I was really invested in Carrie's story, in both, like, the story of her past as well as her character development currently as she's coming out of retirement. You meet a couple really good side characters. I loved seeing the growth of her relationship with her dad again, because they had kind of lost that in her past. So I loved seeing that. The emotional moment at the end that I knew was coming and still hurt my soul anyway. And then I thought the resolution to the book was really, really good. So 4.5 stars, 10 out of 10 would recommend, would read again. I really, really enjoyed that book. I've liked pretty much everything that I've ever read from Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read Malibu Rising. I read Daisy Jones and the Six. I feel like there's one more that I've read. I know I own other Taylor Jenkins Reid books, but I don't know if I've read any of them yet. But I just, ate it up. Delightful. 4.5 stars. And then I finished up the month. The last 3 books are all the other 3 books in the Briar U series. So the next one is The Risk by Elle Kennedy. That was also rated 5 stars. That book follows Jake Connolly and Brenna Jensen. Now, Brenna Jensen is Coach Jensen, coach of the hockey team, Coach Jensen's daughter. And Jake Connolly is a hockey player from an opposing college's hockey team. So this was, like, I can't go so far as to say enemies to lovers in the sense of, like, they hate each other so much that, like, each other, but, like, she really wants nothing to do with him because he is from an opposing hockey team, and he just wants to at least, like, be friends with her. Like, he's like, I don't know why you hate me so much. Like, he loves to pick on her, and she will serve it right back to him, and it's so funny. The banter in this, Brenna Jensen's banter in general is just... You meet Brenna in The Chase, and she's so funny in that, and then I loved seeing her get her own book. It was so great. But Jake Connolly ended up being so much more of, like, a golden retriever man than I thought he was going to be when I first met him in The Chase as well. And I was here for it. Like, I was all here for it. Jake Connolly really, like, shot up towards the top of, like, my book boyfriends list. Like, I was a sucker for him in this book. But, like, Brenna has a past that she had to kind of explore in this one and kind of came back, but Jake helped her through it. It was really interesting getting to see the dynamic between her and her dad, and also just kind of getting to learn a little bit more about Coach Jensen was kind of fun. So overall, I really, really enjoyed this book. The entire series was a 5-star series for me. Like, each book was 5 stars. The series itself was 5 stars. But this one was my favorite book until the last one, which I will talk about. But I ate this book up. I loved it so, so hard. It was so good. The next one was The Play by Elle Kennedy, right? Yes. The Play, 5-star read again. That one follows Hunter and Demi. So Demi is a sorority girl, and she's a psych major. Her parents, specifically her dad, really want her to do this thing, and she's trying to figure out whether or not that's actually what she wants to do. And her and Hunter meet in a psychology class, and they get assigned a project together. So that's how they meet. They become friends. If I'm getting my books not mixed up, and I don't think that I am, I think I'm fine here. And Demi has a boyfriend that at the beginning of the book that we don't like. We end up not liking. But Hunter is there he's just there for her And like this was, I can't say it's enemies, like this was kind of friends to lovers in the sense that like they became friends first, and then as they became friends with each other, like they realized like this is more than just friendship. Like Hunter was not going for this girl, and then all of a sudden he's like, wait, yes I am. So it was really fun watching that develop, and there was some miscommunication in this one as well. But it just, again, it was so good. But it wasn't like, this was gonna be a 4.5 for me. But then, oh my god, the last like quarter of this book, search up your trigger warnings for like all of the books, because there is, like I said, some heavy stuff in these at times, but it's not like the entirety of the story. So like search up your trigger warnings. The for me, the real like deep could possibly be triggering event did not come until the last 25% of the book, but my god, did it come. Holy, again, this was 4.5 stars for me until that last 25%, and then I was like, I literally jaw on the floor, like it was just, oh, it was so good. I ate it up, and that shot it up to 5 stars. Demi is just such a wholesome, good person. Oh, and the way that Hunter was very hard on himself about wanting to be a good captain of the hockey team, and just the way that I can't give it away, but like I really, really liked them. And again, that last 25%, just like so good. So the last book that I read in February was my favorite of the Briar U series. This was The Dare by Elle Kennedy. This was 5 stars, arguably 5.5 stars. Like, this was so good. And the main reason that I loved this one so much is because I found myself relating to the FMC a lot. So this book follows Connor Edwards and Taylor. I cannot remember her last name. But Taylor is in the same sorority as Demi, and she gets dared at a party to make out with Connor Edwards. Now, Connor, he is the hockey team playboy. Like, he gets around. And Taylor is very shy. She is very self-conscious, like me. I think I'm shy, like upon first introduction, but yeah, like, she's just very, very shy, very mellow. So she gets put in this situation, and I can't give it away because it's so funny. But basically the scenario, like, where she goes up to him and says, "Hey," it was so funny. But they develop a friendship, so this was very much friends to lovers as well. But he was trying so hard, and she was like, no. He wanted to be with her so badly. Like, he was willing to give up his playboyness to be with her. And she was like, no, this isn't what I want. No, I can't. No, I'm not worth it. And it was just so, but also, like, she's, like I said, dealing with her inner anxiety and her self-consciousness issues that I found myself, like, her inner dialogue, the thoughts that were going on in her head, I'm like, oh my god, I have been there. I have felt that. I still feel that sometimes. And it just really, really resonated with me. And that's why this one was my favorite one out of all of them, is because I was like, wow, this was, like, it made me feel seen and heard. And that is something, like, when a book gives me that, don't get me wrong, something like Fourth Wing and Throne of Glass, where you have this super strong female character that you want to be the whole time, ooh, makes me cry, hits different, I want to be. But there's also something so special about reading a book that, like, you can really find yourself in. And sometimes it's not in a good way. Like, in theory, the things that I'm relating to Taylor with, not great things. But it just hits you right in the feels. And Connor was dealing with some things from his past that came up, and it was so good seeing their dynamic. Again, massive miscommunication in this one, which I actually did get annoyed with at one point, but they were able to resolve it. And I ate this book up. I think I binged this one. I know that at least one of the Briar U books I binged. I read it from like 9 o'clock to 2:30 a.m. like on a work night. Not my best move, but it was just, oh, it was so good. And throughout the entirety of the Briar U series, the off-campus characters came back here and there in little like sprinkles, and it was just so good. So The Dare, 5 stars. Briar U series, 5 stars. Overall February, I'd say average was 4 stars. Like, it was just a really, really good month. So I've already read one book from March. Today is March 8th, I believe. So I've already read one book, hoping to finish the second one by the end of this weekend. Have I read one book? 2 books? No, just one. Yeah, so it's been a little bit of a slower start, but I actually think the back half of March is probably going to be where I do a lot of my reading, because one of the extracurricular activities that I have is coming to an end the end of next week. So after that, I'll have a lot more time on my hands to be able to read. But that is everything that I have for you guys today. If you haven't read the Off-Campus series or the Briar U series, I highly recommend. If you haven't explored Taylor Jenkins Reid, I highly recommend that you do. And I know I'll be looking into more of Aubrey Winters' books, because again, I liked it enough that I want to keep following the series, and I'm pretty sure that Aubrey Winters has come out with other things. If not, I am looking forward to see what other things they come out with. So I will be looking into them, and I suggest you do the same. But yeah, that is everything that I have. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the cat video at the very beginning, the little cat appearance. But like I said, my name is Kelsey. Please subscribe. Click the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you're notified whenever I put out new content. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye.